Hello, Space Mob. Welcome back to another episode of the AST Space Odyssey podcast. Very happy to be back on today. Gonna cover a bunch of recent topics. I'm all dripped out in my AST swag. I got the Built to Connect shirt with the matching hat. Couldn't resist. Love repping AST, whether it's Red Rum Store, the Space Mob Store, or the official AST one. Just tons of cool stuff, and it's good to give the money back and just rep this because when you wear stuff like this, when you're out and about, people ask, then it just starts a whole new conversation. And then, bam, maybe draw some more investors. Because I wear this stuff to work. People think I work for AST, but I don't. I wish. So today we're gonna cover kind of like the AT&T memes this week and their big announcement on using AST on their network, and then kind of what T-Mobile and Starlink have been pushing to release this week. And kind of celebrate because AST just hit $60 a share. Very massive, massive move. It hit 60 and held it all day. Like recently this week, it's been hitting 60, falling every time. I just think that's because of options management. But today it closed over 60. And the second it closed over 60, bam, it fell 10%. People are scrambling on X. What just happened? And I'm not really going to touch on this too much because I'm not much of a finance guy, but they did do another $500 million convertible note offering. While in the terms and stuff, it didn't really say much of dilution, but it's assumed that there might be some. And anytime like a headline does come out offering this, offering that, no matter what the terms really are, the stock's going to take a fall. So for us long term holders, this doesn't really matter. Obviously, if you have like calls or short calls, it might hurt you. But at the end of the day, building these satellites and getting them launched into space is something that's not going to be easy. And it's something that's going to cost a lot of money because each satellite to build and launch is 20 to 23 million dollars a piece. So right now it seems like we are really just building up this war chest because it's essential to the success here of AST, and it's better to have this war chest now and do the offerings while the stock is this high because you'll be able to raise more money at less shares diluted, as far as I'm aware. So, as far as this offering, yeah, it might hurt the stock short term, maybe tomorrow, but it really shows you, especially once they close the offering, it really shows you that this has big money attached to it. They'll be able to raise this 500 million pretty fast, like they have before. So, like, it really just goes to show you that the big money supports the company and they think they'll make a great return on investment here. And it's not really something to fret over because, as you know, we need this much money. Yes, it does kind of sting when they closes at 60 and you want to celebrate and be all happy. Then all of a sudden you look and it's down 10%. You're like, what just happened? That's like a whiplash after watching it all day, kind of bounce around. But there's nothing to be worried about. And we're just going to move on because honestly, I don't know the deep, deep details of all these transactions and such. But I do know that they need money and they're going to utilize this money best they can to get this service up. Because we're at the point right now where the most crucial thing to AST is getting these satellites up and operational. And if they don't or fall back, like as we see Starlink kind of promoting theirs with T Mobile, is that not that they'll get the advantage because our tech's better, but they'll be able to promote it more and showcase the texting servers that they do have more, and AT&T and Verizon want this off the ground. Yeah, it would be nice to get kind of this money from strategic investors like the partners we have or like Blue Origin because that just makes great headlines, but we got to get money somehow, and this is how management thinks to do it. And I trust management from seeing what has happened over the 4 years and where they were able to bring this. It's like I trust them. So that said, kind of moving on to AT&T, once they start tweeting A's with all these memes, that something's gonna happen. Just like last summer, like leading up to launch, they like to engage with Space Mob and stuff. And I honestly just think it's really cool that like a $300 billion company, one of the biggest telecom, most subscribers, in America is just like engaging with us, who are still a small community on X, and it's giving them like the most engagement they ever got. So let's just go through these memes here. So the first one here, um, it's got like 100K views, which is nuts because all their other posts do like, I don't know, 1,000 or two, like nothing. So this is like we had to let them know with like the flex sign, hashtag space mob, and it's us. It's the big buff dog, classic. Less than 60 years of satellite comms innovation, and the pink company looking all small, which is T-Mobile. So it's pretty much just saying that little T-Mobile is using like technology that's still kind of old, and that AT&T is like going to be using this new technology that can do broadband, that can do voice, that can do calling, and it's reliable. So I just like that they kind of take a jab back at T-Mobile because as we see, like it's kind of heating up to be like a connectivity race right now. Verizon, T-Mobile, and AT&T. I mean, obviously Verizon and AT&T are kind of in the same ballpark right now because they're going to be utilizing the same service. Well, they do have some limited texting service right now with Verizon, but just like the way they're like talking down to the pink company without even saying names, where T-Mobile will go ahead and just name drop. So the next one, this one's just so funny. I like how they use a satellite buff waffle. And like what's cool is like last summer they kind of started the thing with space waffles, and it's something I kind of held on to and always use just because I think it's funny. Because the satellites at the end of the day they do look like waffles. So it's like whispering like AT&T worker like we're the OG satellite comms innovator, and it's like space mob, getting a bunch of goosebumps. And I think it's just funny that they're like playing with us and showing like yeah like Starlink is trying, and they're going to be doing like texting, which isn't really a new technology, but like once AT&T rolls out with like data and such, like this is going to be like OG like innovation right here. And the next one, I thought this one was funny, like especially that they did a press release like a day later. So it's like momentum over hype, and it's like the line does not concern himself with press release promises. And I think that's just because every time AT&T does engage with Space Mobile, it's like, when's the press release coming? Are you guys investing more? When are you like? When's it going live? Like blah blah blah. Like just asking questions, pretty much for a press release. So I think it's funny that they're like the lion has his head down and he's following the momentum over, and he doesn't need a press release. And then, as you guys know, a press release comes, and the press release was really cool. Like after this, well, let's kind of follow the timeline. So they posted all these memes kind of knowing what was going to unfold here because I think they knew that like Starlink and T-Mobile were like officially like launching and promoting the service the next day. So T-Mobile starts promoting this. Starlink, Elon's tweeting it. They're posting videos. You can text anywhere, and then like it's always funny because at the very bottom of every single video or even on their website, it says like texting and select satellite optimized apps with compatible devices in most outdoor areas in the US where you can see the sky. Satellite service, including text to 911, may be delayed, limited, or unavailable. So they're pretty much just covering themselves here and saying, yeah, the service might work sometimes, but it's not reliable for emergency response because it might be delayed, limited, or unavailable. You have to be outside. And I remember in one of them, I tweeted about it, but it said like your phone had to be like facing a satellite. And I think that's like just crazy to kind of promote this product and release it while it's can only work outdoors. And the thing with AST is like it can work indoors, it can work in your pocket, it can pretty much work anywhere in the world. You don't have to be outside. You don't have to have like a path directly to a satellite. It just works flawlessly with any device. And also, like you can see right in the first sentence, they say with satellite optimized apps and compatible devices. So just like that, it kind of shows you their little disclaimer just shows you that AST is ahead because when AT&T and Verizon are going to be promoting this technology, they're not going to have to put these disclaimers that you have to have a compatible device or it only works with specific apps because As you know, AST works with every single phone, which it just puts them ahead because, well, with T-Mobile, you have to have, I think it said something like most reliable with a phone from the past 4 years. A lot of people have old phones. Phones nowadays are pretty reliable, unless you're talking iPhone batteries, to last years and years and years. And a lot of people I know have 5, 6 year old phones. And when a new service comes, why would you pay for something that probably won't work on the model of phone you have? And that just really sets AST ahead because they work with anything that they can. And we've seen some of the reviews come out from the beta. There's articles out there, there's videos where people are sending text using Starlink, and it's not reliably sending. Like they have two phones and like it'll skip some, it won't send in order, some will fail. So yeah, this is a product that kind of works. Yes, I do think this was rushed to market, and I think that's just the only kind of advantage that they have right now. And T-Mobile is really trying to take advantage of that in their advertising, saying we're the only ones that can do this. Which will bring me to this image right here. We'll pull up for you. So this is just comparing. They compared like the T-Mobile to them, saying, "Okay, we have the texting." And then they said Verizon has dot dot dot. Wait for it, less than 10 satellites, which is just a jab right there. Verizon only works with a few Androids. Better check the fine print. And I think that's funny because checking their fine print, it like says right in there that it's probably like it's not very reliable. And it says with Verizon, you'll be waving your device in the air like a magic wand. And that's bizarre to me that they're kind of taking the jabs to a next level, like straight up name dropping them. And it's funny because in one of the disclaimers that T-Mobile said, they said that, oh, you need like a clear path to the satellite. So like as soon as I heard that, like I pictured someone like looking up for a satellite, being like, oh, there's a satellite here. And that just kind of goes back to like the old like funny memes and stuff where people used to like put their phones up in the air looking for service. And it's like, okay, they're probably will still be doing that, but with looking for a satellite versus a signal. And then the ones at AT&T here are harsh. So still searching the skies for signs of life from AT&T. So they're pretty much just saying that they have no satellites. AT&T still testing, still unavailable, still no timeline. Yeah, we're testing, but it's technology that the world's never seen. And then they say you won't be texting, but you will be reconsidering AT&T. So they're just saying AT&T does not have a solution for this right now, and you're going to want to switch to us. And I just think the jabs here are just absolutely insane. And the way they're just making fun of AT&T and Verizon here, I think it's just going to kind of spark this whole new race that we're going to see, where it's going to be a race for connectivity. And once they do, like T-Mobile, or excuse me, once AT&T and Verizon do have this service in beta mode, once we do get more satellites up, they're going to be taking these jabs right back. They're going to be saying, oh, look at T-Mobile. They can only do texting while we have someone in the mountains watching Netflix. We have this person here video calling home to their parents in the middle of nowhere. So it's really going to be kind of a race in those terms. And I'm excited to see it unfold because the thing with T-Mobile doing this now and early is like these carriers won't forget. And like SpaceMob certainly won't forget. So when T-Mobile, obviously it's not going to happen right now, but eventually, T-Mobile, unless Starlink figures out high-speed data direct to phone on any device, T-Mobile will be the ones left in the dust eventually. And they'll be looking to probably expand their network to AST. I would say something similar, but there's nothing really that can beam broadband to your phone from space on any phone. So these jabs that they're doing right now will probably come back to bite them. Time will tell, but I think in the next 2 years they will have to make a switch or at least rely on AST for some, especially cellular data. Because I don't think Starlink can really get a solution that will be on par with the solution AST is providing here. So with all that, I think it's pretty funny to see them It's kind of like the timeline. Like AT&T starts posting these memes, kind of lets Space Mob know that like something's cooking up here. Then the next day, Starlink, Elon, and T-Mobile are shooing their this service, and then from there we had breaking news from AT&T, which was pretty wild. So with all this news and kind of like the kind of bounce back, so when Starlink and T-Mobile and Elon are promoting all this, like at this, like well, as soon as market closed, maybe an hour later, AT&T News tweeted breaking news on Monday, July 21st. AT&T and AST SpaceMobile has successfully completed the first ever native voice call and text made directly through AST Block 1 satellites with a standard cell phone using AT&T Spectrum and passing through the AT&T core network. Bam. And it shocked me that the stock price didn't fly right there because this seriously validated so much. One of like the big things was like, especially when they did the video call, it's like, okay, they just use that like through an app, like they're probably not like connected directly to the spectrum, but like AT&T and AST have like engineered these satellites now to work flawlessly within their network. So instead of just being on other apps, this is like direct phone and texting that is like is different because it's not like actually apps, and it pretty much just shows you that this technology is ready to go once these satellites are up, like completely. It's integrated in the network, and I think we'll see something from Verizon soon about this. But just having it be like directly integrated within the network is just something that really shows that the both of these teams have been really hard at work because they want this to be ready as soon as these satellites are up. So it's like a flick of the switch, like turn on these satellites, people will have access to this. Especially once the beta does come, we'll really see this kind of be sparked to service like almost immediately because they figured out the piece of the puzzle here. And it's just big news from AT&T and AST here because it just shows you how hard these teams are working, and it really shows you how AT&T has built this foundation in AST here. And like right when you go to their website, they're like, as the largest wireless network in North America, we cover 99 of the U.S. population, leaving very few coverage gaps. But for where rare areas where coverage is limited, we're working with AST SpaceMobile to offer a full suite of broadband connectivity, voice data, and text in remote off-grid locations. One day it may also support video services. Our satellite solution will seamlessly integrate with our extensive wireless network, and consumers will have access to this with everyday cell phones. And I think it's really amazing how they do really draw on the fact that everyday cell phone. So no matter what phone you have, as long as you have AT&T, this will work flawlessly. And obviously they have to say like, oh, we still cover 99% of the US, but in that part we don't. So they got to advertise for themselves too. And I just think they're just like ultimately flexing, saying we have service, but where we don't, we have a solution to this, and we're gonna get this to 100%. And the fact that like it's always kind of been hard to wrap my head around because I go camping a bunch, and like sometimes your buddy wants to hear an album, you want to watch a movie. The one time I went camping months ago, my buddy really wanted to watch Castaway. I tried to find it. I had no service on anything. So it's really cool to be able to like have that option. Like, hey, I can pull up this album, I can pull up this movie, I can post on an Instagram story where I am, I can post an Instagram picture. I can, if I'm out there and my wife's still at home, I can FaceTime her and say what's up. And it's just really hard to wrap your head around. And I think it's going to be something that once they do start promoting and people see kind of these use cases here, that it's going to be just massive. And it's going to be something that's very special. And AT&T sees this, and I think that's why they're so behind AST here. And like just that AT&T news post alone, it's at like 140,000 impressions, and the AT&T news page, most announcements they do, especially like they're going through earnings and posting little updates on there, they're getting like, I don't know, 100, like 500 to 1,000 impressions. And I think that just ultimately just comes back to the power of Space Mob here, is that Space Mob is able to kind of draw this hype and engage with them, reply, repost it, use the A emojis, and just like spread the word to people that have not seen it. It's like a kind of organic marketing machine because it's not like they're buying ads anywhere. They're just sharing it, and then we take it into our hands and share it. Then everyone that follows us will see it and engage with it. Then it starts popping in other people's feed because it's popular, and that's kind of how the algorithms work. And then before you know it, you have people switching to AT&T like just because they want the service. Yeah, with T-Mobile, you can send spotty text almost nearly anywhere if you're looking at the phone. But once they're really showcasing this high-speed internet in every corner of America is when this thing truly takes over. Yeah, we're not there yet, but it's going to be massive. And I just wanted to jump in on like cuz I was going through like this press release on their website. I found it really interesting. At the bottom of their website, they had a little like FAQ section. So I'm just going to pull this up and read some of these to you because I thought it was pretty cool. So they asked like how it worked, and they just kind of like explained it. We're working together with AST SpaceMobile to fill outdoor coverage gaps using a satellite-based cellular network that is designed to integrate with our wireless network. So it will connect with our customers' existing device in remote and off-grid locations, and it'll work indoors and in areas without a clear view of the sky. So it's really funny that they kind of take T-Mobile's restrictions and then use it for their powers. And they were saying the BlueBird satellites beams are designed to support the capacity of up to 40 megahertz, enabling peak data transmission speeds of 120 megabits. And I think that's going to be massive once they are doing those download speeds. And then kind of more jabs at T-Mobile, like, will this will this require me to purchase a new device? Because T-Mobile only works with some devices. Nope, you can use your phone like you normally do. The enhanced connectivity for first responders, business, and consumers won't require any special equipment, just an everyday cell phone. When will users be able to access this? It's too early to give a specific date, but we do have a commercial agreement with AST, and we'll be working towards commercial launches. So they want these up as much as we do. And I do like that they do say that we have an agreement and they're name dropping us. Then they say the service is planned for consumers, enterprise businesses, small and medium sized business, FirstNet, and IoT. So like just reading that, I was like, wow, they're already like providing more use cases and kind of business use cases with this. And that's something I never really thought of with AST is that they can offer the now like AT&T will be able to offer these packages to businesses and like what kind of businesses because it's how like scientists out in the mountains, mountain rangers, just like ocean liners, just which is really cool. And then FirstNet, which is going to be massive. And by the way, we just filed some things to the FCC regarding FirstNet and being able to get that up and running, which is cool. And then IoT, which is just another cool service that they can offer. They can really they really plan to capitalize on this. And then where will the service be available? It'll be United States for the initial rollout, and eventually they want to take this globally. And what makes ours different? So AST satellites have the largest low Earth orbit active antenna array ever deployed. The large arrays is designed to provide better coverage and performance and reduce power requirements for the device to reach each satellite, improving throughput and battery life compared to other potential solutions. Simply put, we won't need as many satellites as our competitors, plus enhanced connectivity for first responders, business, and consumers won't require any special equipment, just an everyday cell phone. So another kind of jab at the Starlink solution, because as we've seen through research that a million satellites, like your phone jumping to each and every one, is going to destroy battery lives. So they're saying this is better for your battery. And once again, everyday cell phone, no problem. Then I do like that they did kind of go like how will the satellite work with FirstNet, and then it just kind of dives into this, and that it will be complementary to extend and reach the FirstNet network of first responders in rural and off-grid locations, helping them stay connected after disasters and during emergencies. So that's very very cool that they're kind of included all of that just as a little bonus at the bottom there, and I think you can obviously see here that AT&T is far behind us, and to have a $3 billion company kind of this devoted to a small company that's $20 billion or less right now is something that should really boost investor confidence. And I think that's why a lot of these institutions have been getting behind us, because they see what's going on here. It's obvious, and the writing's on the wall, and the pathway now is just getting these launches sorted and figured out. And speaking of launches, ISRO, ISRO, they confirmed today, bright and early, the launch of BlueBird Block 2 mission is now set to take place next month. And that the upcoming launches, NICER July 30th, which they're already prepping right now. So I think that's going to happen and go good. And that's going to set the stage for us. And then BlueBird August 2025. I think we'll get shipping confirmation soon. But this is going to be a big catalyst because a lot of the shorts and a lot of kind of the FUD this year is, oh, they promised more launches in 2025. It's been since last September since a launch. Like, what is going on here? But now we have these launches lining up. And once these launches do start lining up, they're going to be accelerating fast. Like, as Abel said, we want them every 1 to 2 months. And I think we'll get there in time. And once they do start lining up, it's going to be like the path where people are like, oh, wow, now ASTS 10 satellites. Now they have 15. Now they have 20. Now they have 30. And as we kind of work up there, we can use these for more military applications, as our management has says. And then we can start kind of beta rollouts where customers can try this. And then once we do have enough coverage, as you can see, AT&T is all lined up here to with a turn of a switch, start offering this, start offering the day passes, add-ons, business solutions, IoT solutions, first responder solutions. It's all lining up beautifully. And this kind of where we're at right now, like the $50 to $60 range. After being stuck in the 20s for so long, it's like just a breath of fresh air. And if it floats around like last week, I don't know, it dropped randomly to like 43. Hopefully you bought more. Then this week it was at 60. So I honestly think it's going to consolidate 50s to 60s. Yeah, I wish it stayed in the 60s, but any news of an offering, the algos will take it down just kind of by default. I'll probably add a few more tomorrow, or because this is a company that you want to own a lot of. And when the stock price is, I don't really, well, I did make a price target today because someone was like, one of like the big trading accounts with 100,000 followers, like first target hit or like whatever target hit 60, next target 77. So I quoted that. I was like, all right, my target's 777. So I'm going to go on my brokerages, set myself for 777. It could happen in 10 or 20 years. Who knows? But I guess that's my overall price target. I see people throwing out $3,000 ones, so a bit conservative there. But I think the shorts have gotten kind of cooked lately, and I think it's just going to continue to happen because, like, oh, an offering, the shorts are going to make some money. They're going to want to double down, make some more. They're going to be greedy, and the bear cases that like you do see floating around our X are either like just completely trolling people who don't understand the service or like kind of what we're building here. And another big one was like, oh, there's no launches. Where are the launches? They're gonna fall behind Starlink because they only have 5 or 6 satellites up. But now we're seeing the launches line up, so that kind of cancels that one. Then it's like, oh, they don't have a working service yet. But like people who do the research kind of know where they're at, and we're already making money from the government. And then the best of all is that why use AST? Why are they wasting money launching? They're taking too long for launching. Why don't they just put cell towers on mountains and then just beam them to the cities below them? And it's like, wow, why didn't Abel not think about that? think of all the launch costs you could save if we just like took our Bluebirds and just put them on like just a tower like above every city. Never gonna launch again. Yeah, it's gonna be ugly when you're hiking and you see like this ginormous satellite right there. It'll be cool to take like selfies with, and I'd love to see one in person. Hopefully, I get a telescope good enough someday to be able to see it. But I think that that's kind of all the recent news here, and I think this is shaping up to be amazing. We have some more guests planned going ahead, and we're just gonna keep this podcast cranking here. And Space Mob, just give yourself a pat on the back for, especially for the people who have been here for a while, because it's like, yeah, as like the stock went to $2, and so when it worked its way back up to 10, 20, then it was like almost 40, and we're like, wow, wow, wow. And then it sat at 20 for like it feels like it was like a full year and then some, because it was just like we'd get good news, like get close to 20, then like nothing would even happen with the company, but it'd be back to like 20. So people who bought then and just kind of waited this out and now seeing this like as a 50, $60 stock, like kind of established with good volume, is just like it's kind of feels like we made it. But like obviously we haven't made it until this has full connectivity, because I don't plan on like touching a share or anything until this has at least full US coverage, but preferably worldwide service, which is going to take a little bit here. But I think that's the goal here. And like I saw Tut do like or probably Tut or someone, yeah, it was like a tweet that was like the goal here is no like specific share price, it's full connectivity. And I think that's kind of the mindset that a lot of space mobs should commit to and think about, is like don't have like a price specifically in your head. Oh, AST is going to get to this and I'm going to sell that, because then you might be setting yourself up for some disappointment. And then you're always going to be like chasing this number. I have this many shares. It's going to get to this. I'm going to have this much. Instead, just pick like a specific catalyst in your head. I might consider selling, or like the end goal here is when the company does this, when it pays dividends. But then I won't sell, because why? And even when I do sell, I'll sell a couple. But I think that's a good way to kind of think about this stock. And like when it was down like 10% the other day, it ended up rebounding green for the day, probably thanks to AT&T helping out. But I just sent out like a reminder. It's like when it does have these drawdowns, like tomorrow morning is going to be down probably 9% or so. It's like don't even open your portfolio those days, because you might see, oh, last week I had this much and it's down this much. It might keep falling. What if I sell now and take some? Then before you know it, like it's up another 10, 20%. It's over $60. Like those people who panic sold earlier this week at 51. Like how do you think they feel when it hit 60 today? Pick an end goal of a milestone or a year and just wait it out. Because looking back on any big companies that have done spectacular things, especially things that have never been done before, that is what has won. The people who stick around, wait it out through the good and the bad, and those are the ones that will ultimately be rewarded. So, thanks to you guys so much for listening. Thanks for the follows. Thanks for always engaging with the podcast and the views. Really means a lot, and I just really enjoy kind of talking about this. And like AST, at the end of the day, is just a way of life. So let's keep it up, and we'll see you later, space soldiers.